gotta go. And when that happened to my brother, when I lost my brother, I could sit and sulk, or I could get up and make it work together for the good of those who believe. And I said to myself, I want to make it work. And I wrote a book. And I started, giving that book out to schools and to students. And I started speaking at schools. And I learned, okay, everything that happens, if you move your feet enough and get to where you need to go, someone's going to need that story. So that's going to empower people.
Hey everybody, welcome into the Rainmaker Podcast. Look, I'm hyped right now. Wait till you see this brother right here, Josh Williams, and all the stuff that he has been doing in a very, well, I'm not gonna say short period of time because it took him a while, but this brother got it done. So let's talk about it. Here we go. Hey, Josh. Hey, Arturo. What's up?
What's up, fellas? Baby? Let's go.
Yeah, we about to do this thing. Man, Josh, there it is, at that man JWILL. You got to follow him on Instagram. I've been looking at your stuff pretty much for the past couple hours, man. Just getting inspired and enthused by the things that you've been able to build. I mean, Arturo said, hey, we got to get this brother on. So welcome to the Rainmaker Podcast, Josh. We definitely appreciate you being here with us today, brother.
Hey, I appreciate you guys. I'm excited to be here. I've never been on the podcast with two brothers, so I'm excited about that too.
Hey, we got three. We got the three wise men right here. We're going to do this thing.
Sure.
Arturo, what's up, man?
Man, I'm super excited. So just when you see people socially, I think that social media is an amazing thing for two reasons. Number one is you can now find people that are aligned with the values that you have by your interests. So it really makes it easy with just the clicks of a button to find people who think like you, who are ambitious. And that's what I saw in JWILL. And the reason why we even here together is because I noticed that he had moved back to Nashville, and I'm in Nashville, and I saw a couple of his pictures on Instagram. So I was like, man, let me reach out to him. This is kind of a sign, because I know he's busy and I'm busy. I was like, man, I really want to connect with him just to meet him. And so we hopped on a call and just to chat it up. And then from there, I'm like, hey, man, you're doing some incredible things, and yeah. I can see it, but I really want to kind of unpack some of that. So if you wouldn't just give me 20, 30 minutes so we can just kind of talk about some amazing things you're doing, but more importantly, shed light on your story, on like what you're doing and your journey. So that's what I'm excited about hearing about JWILL today. So, yeah, man, let's get into it.
I mean, Jay, look, I told you I was looking at your stuff this morning, right? So guess what I went and downloaded, right? It's like, you were talking about this book. I had this book, right? Extreme Ownership. Had not listened to it. I said, I'm going to download this book because this brother's just talking about this. I already had it. And just like so many people, wow, we got resources and we haven't plugged into it. Your story is one of inspiration, just going through what you went through. I mean, from the time that you left your home, went out on your own, you're struggling, you're living in your car. Your car is repossessed. Look at me now. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
right.
It's like what you have done is so inspiring, man. Come on, let us know, where did you get that? I'm gonna call it grit, because a lot of people would have just gave up, man. You didn't.
That's my mama. That's my mama. I've been in some situations with my mother had me at a young age. I have an older sister. Mom had her at 19. Had my sister at 18, had me at 19, right? And I had another little brother who 2 years younger than me, and grew up single mom for the most part. There are seasons where there was someone there, but I watched my mom have some of the most difficult times of her life as a young boy, and the way she handled it, it was like no emotions, just let's go. What's next? Now, I remember specifically, I was about 4 or 5 years old, and our house burned down, right? So my mom's young. We get there, we open it. You can't really tell from the outside that it had, burnt down, but we go to the door that we're going to go into. I'm holding my mom's hand. My sister's holding one hand. We open the door, and it's black. Everything that we had, black, just burnt, everything. And I watched my mom literally look at it and just say, all right, let's go. And we popped in a station wagon. Wow. We drove across the country, and we just, like, there was no GoFundMe. There was no, I need help. There was, hey, let's go. I got it. And that taught me everything about leadership.
I mean, wow. That's an amazing story, because, I mean, like I said, people would go through what you went through. What what was the thing that made you, first of all, just hop in the car and leave?
The book Extreme Ownership.
That one.
So when you're a young African American, young black male, when your parents, your mom specifically talks to you and says you're the man of the house, and she said that to you at a very young age, it's it might seem like it's not a big deal, but for young black boys like me, like
Mm-hmm.
it's a big deal. And at 3 years old, I'm walking around like I'm the man, like I'm him, and I had carried myself as the provider and protector for so long, and like that was my mindset. Like this is my family. I'm the man of this house. So long story short, when I was 22 years old, my little brother, he was 20, was shot and killed, and I just took it like it was my fault, because obviously I had nothing to do with someone shooting my brother. It wasn't my fault. I wasn't there, but I had just read the book Extreme Ownership, and all I could think about was how could I make this be my fault? That way I can fix it. If it's not my fault, I can't fix it. So let's make it my fault. Well, I said to myself, well, dude, Josh, like look how many people are successful out here. Look how many people who are 19, 20, 21, 22, your age, but they're multimillionaires through, YouTube channels, the insurance industry, like all this stuff. Like, don't make an excuse. Like, you could have done it if you wanted to do it. So I said to myself, you know what? I'm broke, busted, disgusted. I just lost my little brother. It's my fault, Mom. I should have brought the bag home a little bit sooner, and we wouldn't have been living in this area, and he wouldn't have been running with those guys. It's my fault. I didn't execute. I take the blame. And I said, I'll be back. I got to go. I'll be back. Packed my bags, drove out to Arizona, had $800 in my account. And that's it, man. I
So
said,
hold on. So there's two things of why we kind of in the same like why we're kind of connected here. So number one, I came to Nashville with $100 in my hand, $100 bill and a suitcase in 2001, and I've been here ever since.
wow.
And my mother, the same situation. I can remember her saying, she got a black son in the South Side of Chicago, and she was going to make sure that he had the best education possible. And the reason why this is relevant is because my mom, I can remember her saying that she would have me on her shoulder running down a dark alley to get to the bus, to get to the 5:15 bus every single morning to make sure that I was good. And so when I got to a position where I was able to provide, I retired my mom and she lives right around the corner from me. Sometimes she'll just pull up right here every now and then and just sit outside. And I always wonder, like, why she do that? And she would never come in or anything, but she would just pray over my household and my business and my family and everything. And she would do that. And so in knowing that, I just wanted to make sure my mom never, ever had to struggle and worry about a lot of things. And being thrust into that role at a young age, it allows you, you got to have some grit, right? You got to grow up really quickly. And then, you got to take extreme ownership of things. And that's kind of what I want to transition into, really, because like, that's really what entrepreneurship is, right?
Yeah.
There's a problem that is there, and you decide to pick up the problem and make it your problem. And now you're on this quest to fight, figure it out, galvanize people, and to come up with a solution to that. And so in saying that, you have done that, right? You have, become a leader, and you've got people to follow you. So in doing that, what has that been like for you, the living in your car? Like, what did those moments kind of teach you to be able for you to be a good leader, right? Like, how has that transition been for you to be able to now have an amazing business with a bunch of successful people to galvanize them? And we'll talk about what you do, but like, how is that? How you been able to use those past things, and turn those struggles into success?
Absolutely. I think everything that happens is for a reason, and if we decide to make it be for a reason, and I don't know if this is a Christian podcast, but I'm a Christian.
Go for it, man.
Yes.
And one thing that I always held tight to was that all things will work together for the good of those who believe, right? So I believe that same thing with my brother. When that happened to my brother, I was looking, but you got to move your feet, right? It's like people always they want to know why. You got to, if you want it to happen, you can pray, but then you got to get up and move. You got to go.
Faith without works is dead, man. Yeah, for real. I feel you on that. Yeah.
you gotta go. And when that happened to my brother, when I lost my brother, I could sit and sulk, or I could get up and make it work together for the good of those who believe. And I said to myself, I'm gonna make it work. And I wrote a book. I started, giving that book out to schools and students, and I started speaking at schools. And I learned, okay, everything that happens, if you move your feet enough and get to where you need to go, someone's going to need that story. So that's going to empower people. So, like with the organization I run now, I think the reason why it grows at the rate it grows is because people see me and they say that's a real guy with a real story. And when they have problems, they know that I've been there. And when I give them advice, it's not coming from a place of like my theory of what I think. Like it's like, dude, I've been there. This is how I navigated it. This is how I dealt with it. I will do this. And they've got someone that they can trust on and be vulnerable with, because I'm so vulnerable. Everyone knows, hey, I'll slip in my car. I slip in my car. It's not, that was the first time. I did it before. I've been broke. I ran through my money. I ruined relationships. I ruined relationships with my family. I had to fix all these things in my life. Right? I made a lot of mistakes. I did a lot of silly stuff. I've been arrested. I've done stupid stuff. Like I'm an open book. And I think that's the major thing is that I'm a real person.
It's interesting, now being a leader, right? And I look at this like even with Arturo, like the transitions that he goes through, and he does take ownership. I noticed like this year, it was like anything that goes wrong is my fault. I've heard him say that more than one time, more than 5 times. I've heard him say that throughout this year. When you're looking at being a leader and then on top of that, building a team, right? Do you look at it like, okay, this person ain't going after it, so he not getting a lot of my time. But the person that's over here grinding, they go get all my time. I see that a lot. And I'm wondering what you like, how your philosophy is with that on the people that actually come into your organization, the team that you build, how you delegate that time so that you know like who to be there for, if you know what I mean.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. That's very difficult because everyone, you want to meet people where they are, right? And I think
Mm-hmm.
that's one thing that leaders do a great job of. You meet people where they are and you help them level up, and everyone's at a different level. So what I try to do a good job though is of delegating, but more so creating 2.0 versions of myself. So yes, when I look at my organization, the first thing I did was I wanted to go out and recreate me 3 to 5 times, right? So in the business
Mm-hmm.
model that I'm in with Family First Life and growing my insurance organization, I went out and got 3 to 5 guys that I'm like, okay, you guys, you're the pillars of this business. You're the foundation. I believe in you. Let me show you how to do this the right way. And I poured a ton of, money, resources, time, effort, energy into these people, and turned them into absolute rock stars. Well, then as we grow, now these are people that are kind of on the forefront of that
Yeah.
line there that can help solve problems, and I can go find the next talent, right? So when you scale big, you can't be all things for all people. It's impossible. I would love to, but you just can't. So you have to figure out where's the best fit for your time, because sometimes when you try to get someone up to speed who doesn't really want it, or they're not focused,
Mm-hmm.
they're not locked in, you're doing an injustice to the rest of the group, and it slows everyone else's growth down. Because let's say this guy's not really going after it, but this guy is. If I spend time with him because oh well, he's still, he's gonna get it one day, and this guy's going after like a wildfire. Well, this guy has no growth, which means that there's nobody else that's benefiting from this opportunity. This guy's on fire. If I spend more time with him, there's 20 more guys, right? Like I'm looking to help more people, and sometimes it's at the expense of one person, right? It's
Yeah.
like Jesus is gonna he's gonna leave the 99 for the one. I can't. That's why I'm not him.
Yeah.
For
Got you.
sure. Well, I got a question about that because I was just kind of writing it down so I didn't forget. So you've been able to have some amazing growth, and so a lot of people are trying to grow a team, but I saw something unique that you were doing, and I wanted to kind of unpack that. Like, one, where the idea come, how are you able to get people to do it, and what impact that has had on your team and your business for growing. Which is, I saw you do something where you got like everybody together. It's kind of like you like rented a space or something, and I don't know exactly what it is, so I don't want to try to articulate it. But I'm just curious on what that was, because it looked like it was producing some amazing results, how it came about, and then what effect that has had kind of on your business.
Yeah, absolutely. So we call those lock-ins, right? We lock
Yeah.
you in. The idea came from when I was in Charleston, South Carolina. I was about 12 years old. Every weekend, there was nothing to do out there really, but every weekend they had these lock-ins at the skating rink. So the way it happened, it worked was, you would pay like $25 to get you in there for the whole night, and that's what my mom sent us to do every weekend. All the kids knew the skating rink, like that was a joint. That's where you're gonna go. So every weekend we would go there, and we would get there like 7 p.m. and you can't leave until 7 a.m. Like it literally locks you
Yes,
in.
I remember that in Chicago. Yeah, 87th
Yeah,
Street.
a
Yeah.
lot of fun, a lot of fun. So if you commit to going, you got to be there. So the next morning, your parents will pick you up, but you skate, you do your thing, and then at like midnight or 1 a.m. they're turned into a little children's club where there's music and dancing and fun, and we did lock-in. So I'm like, you know what? In this business, I always use my life and use things that help me. And in this business, it's a contact sport. I realized that people weren't moving and doing what they needed to do because they were struck with like anxiety and fear and doubt. And I know that same thing, using my experiences, I didn't learn how to tie my shoe because my mom said, you can do it. You'll do it one day. I learned how to tie my shoe because I was taking action and learning and trying.
Absolutely.
It's in the doing that you come to know. So I said, you know what? These people are sitting around, they're watching me kill it, but they have this disbelief in themselves. And the only way to disrupt it is by them taking action. But they wouldn't take action on their own. So I'd say, you know what? Everybody, let's get into an Airbnb. We were doing virtual sales, we were doing in-home sales, whatever. But we were at one spot and we were doing the work together. And when you have a buddy sitting right next to you and someone says, screw off, you laugh at it. But when you're by yourself and someone says, screw off, you're like, dude, that hurt. Like, I don't know if this is for me. It changed the ball game. So we wanted this whole thing to be a contact sport. Let's sit right next to you. Hey, this is what you do. This is how you do it. And we were really taking it serious in terms of like caring for our people and having integrity and saying, hey, if I bring you here, I'm going to look out for you. And that's what I decided to do. And we exploded.
So what happened? Like, where were you? And then, what happened after this first time, right? And then, obviously there's an epiphany that happens and some kind of like aha moment where it's like, okay, am I going to do this again? Or I realize I got the right people, or I need to go and get some killers, right? So what happened when you did the first time?
Well, to answer that, kind of the second part of that, the first, here's the thing. In our industry, a lot of people do this. They're out looking like, Josh, how do you find leaders? Like, I got some great people on my team. And they're like, dude, how do you find these leaders? I didn't find nobody. We built them. We developed them. We trained them. We spent time with them. Like, we pour resources and time and energy in it. Like, right. So it's like, if you want to, like, when I came here, I did my own thing. I just came to the company. I said, what comp can you give me? Okay, let me run with it. Like, I had been doing lots of business things before though. Right. So like there's one of two things that's going to happen. If you find a Josh Williams, he doesn't want you to even bother him. Like, just get out of my way.
Right.
He doesn't even want your help. So you're not gonna like find them and then start training. Like, they don't want your help. They don't need you. And then the other side of it is you can create them, but that's where you go develop them. So it's leadership development that it is that you're looking to form this stuff with. But to answer the question, these little epiphanies, they always happen. I think the one thing that helped me is that I was someone that would always look into the future. I'm a big follower of Grant Cardone. He talks about looking out in front of you. Like, dude, you're driving down the road, you better be looking in front of you. You're skiing down the hill, you better be looking out in front of you, right? Like, I want to know what's coming. So for me, when I entered Family First Life, day one, I was trying to think of ways to go out of business. So my first month, it was me and 5 guys. It was like free for all. No one knows what to do. I don't know what to do. You don't either. So let's just go figure it out. Month 2 come around, we kind of knew what to do. I said, okay, here's a new rule. And I was, again, trying to go out of business because I said if we hire more people, they would probably just quit because they don't know what to do. And we figured it out, but it was very difficult and they might not be like us. New rule. The rule was never sell a policy without someone watching you. Now, at the time, we were doing in-home sales. So, hey, get in my car, drive to the appointment. When we go in, shut your mouth. Don't talk at all. Say hi and bye. That's it. You sit right here. And I would show them how to do it, and the team would show them how to do it. And then I had another epiphany. Hey, how do we go out of business? Well, if we hire 100 people tomorrow, we have absolutely no way to take that many people into the house at once. Problem. How do we train these people? Oh, let's build out scripts. Let's build out a system. So we put together a little boot camp where these people can still be trained by what we were saying because we kept going over the same conversations over and over. Let's just automate it. So we built the boot camp. Boom. Then it was like, okay, if we hired 100 people tomorrow, how do we scale quickly? Well, the problem was we were still doing in-home. So the problem was that not everybody had a car. Not everybody was able to travel and fly here and go here and do this, and it wasn't convenient. We had people that wanted to work here but didn't have a car. We had people who were pregnant, couldn't work. Like, it was just very difficult. Said, okay, if we hire 1,000 people that were pregnant tomorrow, we're out of business. We can't do that, right? So the new epiphany was, okay, let's try virtual sales. So we did virtual sales, right? That was a solving of the problem. We did virtual. Why? Because I said if we hire 1,000 people to get on Zoom, we can just sell right in front of them and train them all at once. So that solved that problem. Then we had a new problem. How do we become more profitable? Oh, let's start adding in referral. Like, so there's always a thinking into the future of how do we go out of, like, if you can think to yourself how to get yourself out of business, and then you can solve that problem in the present instead of the future, like, your business is always going to boom. And that's how we've grown so much. So the lock-ins, Turo, that was why we did the lock-ins.
Gotcha. And so the very interesting thing that stood out to me, one, is that, like, this industry for us, as we're going forward into 2023, is like there's a lot of opportunity for leadership, right? There's a big gap for leadership, out the box thinking, for somebody that is hungry and is like, okay, but also a good operator. So you need to be a good leader. You also need to be a good operator, right? Because you just don't want to be running in multiple directions, right? And then you need passion and conviction. And I feel like that's what I'm seeing with you, just based off of what you're saying. It's like, okay, we don't need to keep doing the same thing over and over again, keep saying the same thing, right? If we said it more than 3 times, then we probably need to write it down. We need to record it, and we need to post it somewhere, right? And then we need to have a centralized place for that. So when we do bring someone in, they can go right to using that for a resource, right? So now if somebody asks me a question, I can refer them to that. So now we got standard operating procedures in place. Now, okay, how do we, if we bring on a lot of people, how do we train them? Well, we need to have the standard operating procedures, and then we need a place where we can train everybody, where they can hop on from any location with just the click of a button. So we need to transition into this telesales thing so that we can get everybody on the same page doing the exact same thing. Boom. And then from there, right, like, how do we mentor? How do we spend time with people, right, which is the lock-ins and the boiler rooms, to now inspire them that they can believe it. But not only that they can believe it for themselves, but they can believe in you because they saw you do it as a leader. Right. And if they see you do it as a leader, now they'll borrow that belief that's like, oh, if he can do it, then I can do it. I just saw him do it. And now you can look over him and say, man, you got this. Just keep going. I know they hung up. It's all good. That happens, but you got this. That's awesome, man.
The whole energy behind just doing life insurance sales is hard enough. There's things that these ladies and gentlemen are going through, especially in the beginning, but you managed to get through all of them. Did you actually have a mentor in place to help you, or did you just grind it out and, like, just, you know what, I'm going to figure this thing out? How did that journey from going from, every new life insurance agent, they complain about leads. That's like the thing they complain about. But you solved that problem. So it's like, you don't complain about it anymore. You solved that problem, you moved on. But did you have someone guiding you through those initial things, or did you just say, hey, I'm going to just figure this thing out?
So I've had people that if I needed to ask them a question, they were there and they would answer my phone call like that. Nina Damjanovic, she's amazing.
Nina D, baby. Shout out to Nina D.
Yeah, she's amazing.
For sure.
She's someone that she understood me and she stayed out of my way and she was there to serve and help me whenever I needed it. So if I said, hey, Nina, would you do this, or what do you think about this? She would give me her insight. And say, this is what my experience was, or I don't, but she stayed out of my way for the most part. We have an amazing relationship. She's incredible. So, but you guys have to understand too, that I'm not the average Joe in sense of, joining the family for life. I've been doing this since I was 19. I'm 27, right? Yeah. So I've been doing it for a little while to know kind of how to maneuver in this space. I started off at 19 with no leads at all at a captive company, and I made $96,000 knocking doors. So
awesome.
It was just kind of putting all the last 8 years of what I learned from, I've sold everything you could think of: swimming pool, pest control, solar stuff. Wow. I put it there and said, hey, this is what, like, let me show you who I am.
Yeah, well, that's interesting because, man, there's so many similarities here, right? I try to be a fireman. crypto, real estate investing, opening up a convenience store. I always had this entrepreneurial kind of thing, and I tried all these things, and I also was captive, and I got my license back in like 2004, and was in and out of business. And then once I kind of figured out the social media thing in order to get clients, that's when it kind of took off for me. And then I transitioned into coaching, because that was just, I realized that was the thing that I was really, really good at, is being a strong leader, and instilling systems, and building up people, and building up belief in them, and what's showing them what's possible, and what they're capable of. Because I think a lot of people don't really realize what they're capable of, but more importantly, they're scared of what they're capable of, because there's a certain responsibility that comes with the success and the God-given talent that you have. And I feel like sometimes it's either people don't really believe in themselves, or they just don't want the responsibility. And you just got to encourage people. It's like, hey man, you got this.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, you guys are, I'm a little bit older than you guys, and so you guys have an experience.
Good.
Say what?
Wisdom, baby. You got all that wisdom, man.
Right up in here. Well, I ain't got nothing up here, but right, it's down here somewhere. But you guys came up completely different from what I did. You guys' story is like rags to riches, right? I don't have that story. Like, my parents are still together. I'm 53. My parents have been married 53 years, right? My dad has 2 master's degrees, right? Both of my parents came up in banking. So I never came from a position of lack, but I did have a position of hunger. And I think, but you guys are more extreme. I mean, South Side of Chicago for Arturo. I mean, the story that you have, Josh, with how you kind of got into all this, and there's some sort of mind flip or switch that has to go off for people at some point to say, you know what, I'm better than this. Now, I can say my parents never gave me anything. They are wealthy, but they never gave me stuff. I always had to earn it. So I knew I couldn't rely on them. My father and my mother would be the first to tell you, you just live here. This is our house. We have money. You don't have, we have money. So they had to flip that on me. So that's why I've been working since I was 13, because I was always about the clothes and the dressing and, all that stuff. I was voted best dressed for my high school senior class, right? So I had to work at my little Dunkin' Donuts job and, do the stuff at, working at Safeway and bagging groceries to get my little money. So, but there always has to be that hustle, right? Even in my neighborhood, I was cutting grass, right? I was out there trying to make whatever it is I could make, because I knew no one was going to give it to me. You guys, I mean, I thought at some point, maybe I was around 14 or 15, why don't my parents just give me stuff? But it's like, that was like, oh, well, maybe a little bougie, right? But you guys had no option. I had no option, even though the resources were there. You guys had no option with no resources, but you still managed to become who it is that you are today. Arturo, Josh, what is that secret sauce?
Arturo, you go first.
So here's the first thing. Number one, there is no secret sauce.
There
right?
you go.
The first thing that is going to take, and I posted this on my Instagram a couple of days ago, is most people don't say they're hardworking, but they don't really understand what hard work is, right? And I posted this, and it says that most people work 40 hours a week, and they consider themselves being hardworking. Perspective: a billionaire works 10 hours a day, 6 days a week. And so that was the first thing. I had to look myself in the mirror, and it was like, if you're tired of your situation and you want to get out of it, the only person that's going to get you out of your situation is you. If you rely on your circumstances, if you rely on the government, if you rely on someone else, some knight in shining armor to come save you, you're going to be stuck in your situation. So when I took personal responsibility for where I was in life and where I wanted to go, that's when everything changed for me. I took radical action, right? I changed the information that I was consuming. I changed my social circle. And then from there, right, then that's when I started to really get optimistic about the future. And now I was really ready I was looking for an opportunity. I was like, okay, if I can come from the South Side of Chicago and move to all these things, I just needed a chance, right? Just put me in the game. I can do the rest. Give me the ball and get out of the dang way. So But again, I wasn't working that hard, right? I was working 30, 40 hours a week. But again, the most people that are working that, they're getting this type of result. I wanted extraordinary results. So I had to
Yeah.
take extraordinary action. And when I realized that what I was doing wasn't going to take me there, I needed to go to another level. I was like, oh, I'm just not that person yet, but I'm hungry enough. I got the
Mm-hmm.
desire, I got the will, and I will succeed. I just need to know what to do. And once I realized, okay, you're going to have to give up all of the social things, and like you're going to have to sacrifice a lot of things that you love that are comfortable in order to get the things that you desire. Then now, so I was like, okay, cool, let's do it. Just show me what I need to do. So, number one, I started all the social media and sports and like all of that stuff. I completely replaced that with personal development education, right? So now I'm consuming things that are making me feel good about myself. It made me personal development. I had more self-confidence. Now I'm just looking for the right opportunity. So now I'm in
Mm.
search of information. What are the successful people doing? I know what they're reading. I know what their habits are. Now I want to know what type of businesses they have. What are the most successful
Mm-hmm.
people doing? Once I figured that out, how did they get that information? Who taught them this? And I realized, oh, okay, I needed a mentor, somebody that can guide me, somebody that was where I was, that ended up where I wanted to be, and I just needed to get around them, right? You stick around a barbershop long enough, guess what? You're going to get a cut. So that was it. And then from there, the rest was history. It was like, it's just you, right? At the end of the day, it's just you. If you get out there and get it, it will reward you. I tell life insurance agents this all the time. This is a consistency and persistency business, and this business rewards the hard workers, period and point blank.
Yep. That's a mic drop right there. That there's so much truth in that. I mean, that's it. So when you think about kind of what drives people and everything Arturo said, I could say the same thing. But I think Earl, for me, it was this, right? It was having one of these at all times, and if I don't, it's a major problem, right?
Why?
A
It's a
target.
target, right? Um, and they change. So the target I have now, once I get there, it's going to change again. But you talk about that secret sauce, like what moved me and what had me going. I had a mission in life. I had a target. I wasn't somebody that was just going to exist and just accept what my life was. And to be quite frank, like I was somebody that used to very badly experience, anxiety, depression, all that stuff. So I had medication, and one day I flushed it. And I said, I need a target. I need a mission. I need to be going
Mm.
after something. Every time I sit still and I don't know, what I'm moving after, I don't have anything to go after, I'm not aiming for anything, I feel depressed. I make over six figures per month. 3 months ago, I was depressed and couldn't figure out why. I like thinking to myself, like, dude, 3 years ago,
Grant Cardone calls that success depression. And I thought he was lying when he said that. I had the same issue, making
You
over
did,
six
yeah.
figures a month, and I was depressed. And it's like, I'm not excited. I didn't have a big enough goal. I didn't have a big enough dream. Yes,
it's
dude.
so real, so real. If you don't have something that you're aiming at, and because when you get there, then it's like, now what?
It's a letdown. It's like, oh, okay, I worked this hard to get this. Now what? And it's like, oh, okay.
And
Now you're
that's
back
it.
in this comfortable zone again. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, I'm not growing.
That's it, man. And that's what moved me throughout my life. I think it started with the idea that I wanted to buy my own car. I got it. Then it was like, now what? Right? Then it was like, I want to take care of my mama. I make enough to take care of my mama and a few more mamas. Like, now what? So it's like I'm depressed again. So I had to keep moving the target. But what I discovered about 2 months ago that saved me was I was trying to figure out what is it that's in my way. Like, why do I have to keep doing this? And the problem was I was trying to figure out, like, what's the point of work? Like, why do we work? Everyone works for the exact same reason. Like, whether you say you do it for money, passion, this, that, you want to help people, whatever, you can help people doing anything. You can go serve McDonald's burgers and help people. What you do it for is you want to make some money. And why do you want to make money when you work? Well, because you want to be able to pay your bills and live and survive and live your life. So I said, "Oh, if I want to do that, like, what's the end goal here?" Well, the end goal is freedom. Everyone works for the same reason. They want freedom. They want freedom. And how do you get the freedom? Well, you get the freedom through cash flow. So what I recognize for me, like my new target right now, and this might change. I'm 27. I'm learning. This might change, but right now, the new target to keep me out of depression and to get me to my next goal is I know that I don't want to make 6 figures plus per month. I want to get a check coming every single month without me doing anything. I want to buy an apartment complex.
Come
Every
on
month
now.
you come in, I gotta be free. I want to be free, and then that's when I know like I've hit the target, and now I can go be Josh Williams. I could go do a different passion project every day. One day I might want to become a barber. One day I want to go try to be a rapper. One day I want to go try to be a pro boxer. I can do whatever I want because the bag's gonna come every single month, no matter what. And that was my biggest target. That I realized, okay, Josh, if you want to solve this thing, you got to stop working so hard because even the money I have, I save it all up, but like there's no power in it. I realized like, dude, the only power is in when you transact with it, right? It's in the spending of the money that brings joy. So if I spend the money, it's all gone because that was earned income. So I need to go buy me some apartment complexes and get this money coming in every single month. That way, when I spend it, I can enjoy it and I'm still here and I'm still free. So that's a target right now. But again, the target might change. Once I get there, I don't know what's going to happen. I might be depressed again. I got a dream, a new dream, but having the consistent targets in front of me is what moves me.
So you know what's crazy about that? Literally the first of this year, right? We were just doing a course, right? Which was just a done with you where we were offering this. And every single month I was starting, got to make sales, start from zero, going over and over. And I was like, well, what is the purpose of all of this? And then now my daughters do any day, but I was realizing that I needed to set up my business. And you're right about the cash flow. Most people are just worrying about growing, just like getting to that one number, but cash flow is the most important thing, because if you grow cash flow, you're good. And so that's when I start transitioning my business into this service-based thing. And it made me a lot happier because what realizes that cash flow was tied to the impact that I was having on the marketplace. Mm-hmm. And there's a reason why impact comes before income, right? And so that's when I realized like, oh, I need to be creating a bigger impact. And that's why we're starting to do some more of these podcasts and things, because we want to kind of share this message and really, kind of share what other amazing agents and people are doing in this industry. And so I'm like, oh, we need to make a bigger impact. Mm-hmm. And now I'm excited. And it's now my journey is how can I connect with great people like you? How can I connect with Nina D? How can I connect with Bo? All of these amazing people that I'm doing all these cool things so that they can share their story. And the reason why that's important, because I want other people that aren't where we are, that can kind of resonate with our stories, can now see that it's possible for them.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. That's it. That's what it's about. It's about being able to be free and do whatever you want, because the next day you might want to do something else. Arturo might rock this podcast out, and next year he's like, I'm done with it. Now what? Right. But being able to maneuver and do whatever and still serve people, I think that was the thing that clicked for me as well.
Awesome, man. This has been great.
Yeah, man. I mean, with a lot of things you do, first of all, I want to let people know, you've been seeing his shirt, right? At that man, JWILL. You got to follow him everywhere. I've been on Instagram all day. So, I know what's up over there. And the energy that you bring, I think everybody can see and has seen with what it is. And I'm going to tell you, one of the biggest things that I've gotten just from hanging out with you guys today is the energy level that's there, but also the commitment to excellence, not accepting excuses, and doing what it takes without blaming exterior things, right? It's one of the things that I say all the time that I tell people, whether I'm coaching them or whatever, as soon as someone starts to complain about something that's exterior, that's causing them not to succeed, I'm like, you've just given all of your power to that thing. I don't care what you're complaining about, because what you control is always going to be the outcomes. But once you start blaming things outside of what you can see in your mirror, which is you, that is where it all begins. That's where that extreme ownership comes from. That's the thing I love and I see in Arturo every day. Not making an excuse. Even if we get a little angry or upset or frustrated, it's like, we're going to work this out. It's going to come to a head where we're going to know that we can overcome whatever obstacle comes our way. Arturo has heard me mention the book, The Obstacle is the Way. I don't know if you've ever seen that, but the obstacle is the way. And going through those obstacles, those things that you count as obstacles, it is the way that you're going to get to the ultimate goal that you want to get to. But if you're stopped at that obstacle and just complaining about that obstacle, you move no further. You got to go beyond that. And I mean, just having you guys on today with me, this has been amazing for me. With two young brothers just sitting here talking, and neither one of these guys is any joke. These guys, I'm telling you, neither one of them is no joke. You need to follow Arturo. You need to follow Josh. You need to get around. Arturo, you mentioned something about you had to change the people you were around, right? Until you change, I mean, I tell my son, my daughter, all of my kids this: you are the sum result of the 5 closest people to you. And I always say, if you're the smartest person in your group, you need a freaking new group, because they're not helping you anymore. And Josh, that's why we reaching out to you. Yes. We want to be in your group, man. It's like
iron sharpens iron, baby. You
exactly. Know that. I mean, but man, I want to thank you for being on here with us today on the Rainmaker Podcast. Arturo, Josh, any closing words on this?
No, man, I think this was good. It's been enough conversation here for everybody to see what's possible and what it takes to like have success. And I just feel like a lot of people say they want success, but they truly don't want to sacrifice and give what is required.
There it is.
And it takes a deep level of commitment and extreme sacrifice for you to get what you desire. And the reason why that's important is because if it was easy, then everybody would do it, right? And there's a saying is that like, at a certain level, just going that extra mile, there is no competition. When you realize that when you get there, the competition is you. And if you're willing to do the work and you're doing what is required, like there's nothing that you can't do.
Absolutely.
And speaking on commitment, it's not a one-time commitment. You know, I've had to commit every day.
Say that.
Sometimes twice a day. You know, sometimes I had to recommit 4 or 5 times. It's an ongoing thing. You got to challenge yourself. It's going to be, very difficult. But I think as long as you're moving your feet and understand that your next move is most likely not going to be the best move, and it's probably not going to be the last move. But everything that I've learned in the past from every decision I've made, every time I move my feet, taking all those things and putting them together has created what I am today. So just go do something. Go do something.
Man, well, Josh, Arturo, man, I appreciate y'all both for coming on this little podcast. The dude here finally got Arturo on camera with me. You know what I'm saying? And I mean,
yes, right. Words got power, baby. I love it. This is one of those things. This is a Rainmaker podcast, baby. We making it rain. So
absolutely.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
Well, everybody, I definitely appreciate you being on with us today. Thank you, Josh. Thank you, Arturo, for being here. And I definitely want to just thank everyone. Look, you gotta follow Josh. Got to follow Arturo. The links are going to be in the description so that you can go and get what you need to get. I know for life insurance agents, this is right here. Some resources you've been hearing from us talk today. We know this business. You need to be reaching out. You need to be connecting, and you need to include that circle that's going to include folks that are going to help you start, build, and grow what it is that you're actually looking to grow and give you that drive and give you that determination. So go ahead, make sure you share this out. And once again, Josh, Arturo, y'all the bee's knees, man. Appreciate you brothers for real.
Thanks for having me.